By the power of Grayskull, Geek Legion is awesome! Yeah, geeking is awesome!
Not to be confused with the similarly titled Sharks vs. Mermaid. We are talking The Little Mermaid versus Megajaws, and this is written and directed by BC14, a prolific filmmaker who specialises in sorts of animation. Now, the Professional Amateur Hour has actually reviewed a few movies from him, and it kind of forms like a somewhat loosely connected cinematic universe that primarily involves around this kind of Bigfoot character. It's sort of, I think, the earliest character that then goes on to meet other ones and stuff. So in this movie, it's a kind of a mostly like 95% animation with a kind of few like establishing shots of real footage and things. But it's this continuation of this story that you've seen. And if you haven't seen them, it's one of those instances where you may be thinking, what the hell? Not that I think it's too worried about having a solid continuity or anything, but we have a situation where this giant kaiju shark monster is kind of rampaging across the ocean and the land. And yeah, the Little Mermaid is there, and she's obviously worried about the devastation on her kingdom, but at the same time we have this crew of this kind of space rangers type, again this is kind of set in the future, who want to stop the creature from destroying, like, obviously situations on land. So now we have this romance between the Little Mermaid and one of these kind of space ranger types, and joining forces along with this kind of pirate to try and stop this kind of giant shark monster. Along the way they face other things like a kraken, zombies, all sorts basically. This effectively got like the kitchen sink approach to it. So what can we say that works? I mean, this really has like so many scenes of just random things happening and random like sequences that are just bizarre. It's sort of fascinating to watch, I have to say. Like, we have this scene, I mean, I'm presuming this is from another movie, where there's like an astronaut who's in purgatory and he's just kind of floating around in the ocean, but is somehow conscious and is talking to the fish. Doesn't really have any bearing on the story, it's just in there. Alright, fair enough. And as I say, we have various different kind of like other kind of creatures and sort of things that pop up. It's just weird. It's just weird, and there's a bit of sort of swearing and stuff in it, so it's not really aimed at kids. But it has that sort of so bizarre, it's sort of kind of interesting to sort of watch. The kind of the aesthetics vary wildly, I must say. Most of the time, I've got to say, it looks like you're watching World of Warcraft. That's what basically the graphics look like, or maybe Fortnite, something like that. Some of the scenes with the kind of the kaiju shark monster when he's swimming around underwater look a little better. But I don't think it's too concerned about having particularly kind of good graphics, and they have human characters that have this kind of uncanny valley kind of look to it. I mean, there's so much stuff here. I mean, there's definitely some entertainment value to be had purely from having such a variety of things and kind of such a bizarre mixture of characters. Like, we have this team that's got Bigfoot and it's got these kind of sort of sci-fi space marines. There's a pirate, like a Johnny Depp inspired pirate. Little Mermaid, kind of, you know, that's your crew basically. It's like, what in the hell? It's basically got everything in there. But that's really all I can say that genuinely kind of works. I mean, there's a couple of kind of sort of jokey moments that I think, you know, are kind of somewhat amusing. But, you know, the aesthetics do look like World of Warcraft. It's what it looks like. I wouldn't be surprised if they've actually used a game engine here to, you know, animate the kind of these kind of sequences, because genuinely that's what it looks like. You know, you've got like ragdoll effects when people are kind of getting like, you know, blown over and stuff like this, and yeah, it kind of looks, so it looks like what you're looking at is someone playing like some random game with like all these kind of pop culture things that are in there. And the story is somewhat reliant on you having seen the previous movies to a degree, because otherwise you just don't really know what the hell's going on. I really didn't think any of the characters particularly kind of stood out to me. Maybe with the exception of possibly the pirate, who's kind of introduced maybe as a sort of newer character, I presume. But the kind of our crew, if you like, just seems somewhat generic. It's one of these films where there is so much sort of bizarre stuff going on in a kind of cheap and cheerful manner. It just looks like just sort of chaos without having just spectacle, without any sort of story or general sort of dialing back and characters and things like that. So look, it's sort of pure low budget CGI spectacle with lots of kind of random things happening. It's certainly a film maybe that you could have on in the kind of the background, and you know, in that respect maybe it's a little more interesting than Sharks vs. Mermaid perhaps, but ultimately it's one of those films that it's really kind of hard to sort of pay attention to because it's just aesthetically quite poor. I mean, it looks like a film that would have been produced 10 to 15 years ago, possibly even younger. Like the sequences where we have like the Little Mermaid talking to her sister, I mean, they're not really even properly, they just kind of are floating around like with these dead open eyes and sort of like very like, hello, the Little Mermaid. It looks weird. Look, I didn't really get on with it, I have to say. Maybe, I mean, it's clearly there's an audience for this because there's so many films in this sort of series, but like, I don't think it's particularly good. It's just like poorly kind of put together animation without any sort of real semblance of genuine sort of narrative flow or anything like that. I mean, there is a story, but it just seems to be, let's have as many sort of things in this movie as we possibly can. If you're a fan of the previous ones, I suspect this is more of the same. For me, though, it was a 3 out of 10. What were your thoughts if you've seen it?
I'll give you 2 big reasons to subscribe to Geek Legion of Doom.